Man, it's a sad day for some people out there, but again, just like a breakup, Louis C.K. has a joke. If you ever see someone who just went through a divorce, they're doing better. They're not doing great, but they're doing better than they were before. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master Football, back at it again. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on all things EA college football and see plenty of college football content, subscribe to this channel right now. I also do plenty of pro and Madden football videos as well. Like I said, hit the red subscribe button. Hit it right now. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I really appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys. So here we are in the very early parts of October. So for the most part, preseason, I won't say preseason, but non-conference games are mostly done at this point. There's a couple that, there's, splattered throughout the remainder of the season here. But for the most part, your early part of non-conference is over. We are stepping into conference season. That being said, there are multiple coaches that don't have to worry about scheming or schematicizing. They don't have to worry about trying anymore because they're no longer working where they need to work. Like we said, man, it is a cold world out there. Winless Colorado Buffaloes fire coach Karl Dorrell, DC Chris Wilson. Colorado fired head coach Karl Dorrell on Sunday in the wake of the Buffaloes' 0-5 start in the 2022 season. The university announced the school also dismissed defensive coordinator Chris Wilson. Personally, I saw their offense. I don't know if there's much hope there, too. I want everyone to know that I have a ton of respect for Karl Dorrell and the way he led the football team with integrity. Colorado Director of Athletics Rick George said he helped us navigate through the challenges of COVID-19 and did so with a lot of class. He made our young men better off the field, both in the classroom and in the community. He led our program to the highest GPA in our history, and his team was involved in a lot of different community activities. However, the on-field performance fell well short of our expectations, George added. I know that starts with me. I hired Karl, and it didn't work out the way any of us wanted to. There's no excuses. I own my part in where we are today. Offensive coordinator Mike Sanford will serve as the interim head coach, the school announced. Sanford is the former head coach at Western Kentucky, where he went 9-16 in 2 seasons. Defensive line coach Gerald Chapman was named the interim defensive coordinator. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a very sad video for a lot of fan bases out there. Well, no, excuse me. It's going to be a starting point for hopefully better things for a lot of fan bases out there, because Colorado wasn't the only one that fired their head coach over the weekend. We also head over to the great state of Wisconsin. Wisconsin's fires football coach Paul Chryst, names defensive coordinator Jim Leonhard interim head coach. Now remember, their defensive team, they've been a very good defensive team recently, but just had some issues on just first of all winning games, and then also with the offensive side of the ball. Wisconsin fired head coach Paul Chryst on Sunday after the team's 2-3 start. Athletic director Chris McIntosh said in a news conference Sunday night that he met with Chryst in the morning and had extensive discussions with him, leading to the decision to make a change. It's a big decision. And it's got implications that are not lost on me, but really thankful to have been able to work side by side with Coach Chryst through some incredibly exhilarating, positive moments and some tough ones like today, McIntosh said. So over the weekend, Colorado, Wisconsin, that's what we got. Let's see what's going on so far in terms of head coaching positions, because there's actually plenty of them out there that are open based on head coach firings already, and we're barely into October. So here we are with DesireeNews.com, and again, it says right here that there's 5 in particular that are open. They are all they're all Power 5 teams. Nebraska firing Scott Frost, Arizona State firing Herm Edwards, Georgia Tech firing Jeff Collins, Colorado firing Karl Dorrell, and Wisconsin firing Paul Chryst. These jobs, man, we'll come back to these really quickly here in a second, but I want to talk about another thing here, because there actually wasn't head coaches fired, but there were coordinators fired within the last 5 days. There was the Boise State versus San Diego State was called the Fired Coordinator Bowl, and we'll get into that why right now. So just on September 25th, after a horrible loss to the University of Texas at UTEP, Boise State fired offensive coordinator Tim Plow. Very rough season after this also as well. Hank Bachmeier, who was on the Johnny Unitas watch list, he decided to transfer. He'd only played 4 games, so he's still eligible. He's going to have 2 years of eligibility left with him, which is crazy. Quarterback, transfer portal, offensive coordinator fired, and you'll see the reason why here in a sec. These numbers right here are the rush yards per attempt in 2022 to 2021 to the beginning of 2022, where the national championship was. Boise State down here, 116th in yards per carry, 3.3. Now, remember that's important to keep that in mind, because there actually was a game here that when you saw the fact that Tim Plow left, there's a definite change between this 3.3 and what they put on the field this last weekend. So Boise State comes out, they were down 13-0, and then at halftime, they just lit a fire. You see they scored 21 in the third quarter and 14 in the fourth quarter. Taylor Green had an okay, passing game, but we look down here. George Halani, 17 carries, 131, 2 touchdowns. Taylor Green, 8 for 105. Ashton Genty, 12 for 82. 300 yards rushing, 7.2 yards per carry, and 5 rushing touchdowns. They absolutely had an incredible day. Now, looking over here to the San Diego State side, we're going to see here, because Boise State fired their offensive coordinator before this game, and San Diego State fired their offensive coordinator after this game. You look down here, Braxton Burmeister only made it. This is the first half numbers. Actually, the interception here was in the second half, the first throw. But then these Louis Amueve and Kyle Crum came in and went combined 0 for 8. 0 completion yards, and they had 35 carries for 81 yards, 2.3 yards per carry. They had, what was the total on this? It was absolutely shocking here. So the total yards of this game was Boise State 450 and San Diego State 114. That one lone touchdown scored by San Diego State was on a blocked punt. And like I said, they fired their offensive coordinator. So right here basically breaks that down. We have footballscoop.com. San Diego State entered Saturday on 118th in yards per play, 4.44, and scored 19 points per game. Running backs coach Jeff Horton is expected to take over as a coordinator. Remember now, this is the offensive coordinator got fired, but Brady Hoke is out there. This team was 12-2 last season. Really, really, really good team, but just unfortunate they weren't able to. This team had big expectations, got a lot of people knocked out of the conference championship game for COVID reasons. But the fall from grace from where they were to where they're at right now. And actually, there's somebody on Twitter who basically said, at least Boise State was willing to fire their offensive coordinator. We need to fire ours too. Well, you got your chance. He is now fired. But remember here, it's not all bad news. It's not all bad news for those fired, coaches. Now, maybe not the coach, but Georgia Tech fired their head coach this last weekend, and then they come out here in the upset number 24 Pittsburgh Panthers. Good for them in Georgia Tech. In fact, I want to talk about the programs that are open right now and discuss where I think they have in terms of their quality and what I think, what my thoughts on them are in general. So these are the 5 openings right now: Nebraska, Arizona State, Georgia Tech, Colorado, and Wisconsin. Now, in my personal opinion here, you saw the fact that they mentioned the fact that GPA was very important to Colorado and things like that. But I think that Colorado football is arguably the least important to Colorado. I would say second least important over here, Arizona State. And then from there, I'm telling you, the ones that are confusing, Georgia Tech should be a national power if they cared about football. I don't know if they do or not. They are an AAU institution, so really, really solid there. Arizona State, dude, I'm telling you right now, it is so easy to recruit to Arizona State, but unfortunately, I just don't think they've prioritized it. I know Nebraska wants to be good at football, and I know Wisconsin wants to be good at football. Now, whether or not Nebraska and Wisconsin can get the right coach in there, I don't know. Personally, me being me, and again, I think that Nebraska can recruit at the top levels. I think Wisconsin can too. Georgia Tech, first of all they got to do is just keep all those dudes from Atlanta in home, and you'll be fine. Keep dudes in Atlanta, and you should be good. Arizona State is a pretty easy to recruit out there in California too. Colorado, the fact they don't play as many games in Texas, they're probably going to have to increase their recruiting in California and Nevada and Arizona and things like that. But, man, the one name that I keep on hearing, and again, a lot of people say Urban Meyer, a lot of people say this and that, no problems with those kinds of coaches. I want Dave Clawson. Dave Clawson out there, really, really innovative mind. That slow mesh is terrorizing people. If he can do that at Wake Forest, imagine what he can do at Nebraska's athletes, Georgia Tech athletes down there in Atlanta, what we could do with a big old offensive line like have at Wisconsin, things like that. That's what I'm thinking about. But get right now in the comments right now, what's your opinion of these jobs that are available? Which one do you like? Which one do you not? What do you think they're going to do? Get in the comments right now. Let me know. Man, it's a sad day for some people out there, but again, just like a breakup. Louis C.K. has a joke. If you ever see someone who just went through a divorce, they're doing better. They're not doing great, but they're doing better than they were before. Same situation here with these teams. It never feels good when you have to fire a coach, but at least hopefully you're hoping that the direction is only up from there. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I appreciate it. That's it for me, guys. I am out.